Thank you. I wanted to ask about a related topic to what Senator Langford just asked about. And as we look at our education system, one of the experiences that I have is when I travel around New Hampshire, I hear from employers directly, many of them in the manufacturing field, that they have many unfilled positions. And they're very good paying positions. Frankly, much better paying positions than many of our four-year graduates are able to get when they get out of college. And we have a disconnect right now between our employment needs and our opportunities that we're seeing with some resurgence in manufacturing, and it's advanced manufacturing. People sort of have this outdated view of manufacturing that's in this dirty factory. These are very technical jobs. They require obviously an understanding of how to use computers. They require some basic mathematics and engineering understanding, but they don't necessarily require a four-year degree. Yeah. And so I wanted to get your thoughts on, Senator Kaine and I actually have a bill, both of you, that would allow you the flexibility, if you need your Pell Grant, to take a short-term skills program, a CTE program, a training like say you're going to go to community college, let's say you want to go to a welding program or whatever it is, because there's a lot of opportunities for good paying jobs. And it goes back to this issue of transparency. We need to tell our young people, too, that here's where there are jobs, and here's what the average pay is here. And so that they know when they're taking out a college loan, what the implications of that are, but also what are the opportunities for me to earn in the long time, and where are the jobs available? So I wanted to get your thought on this idea of, I know we're talking about higher education today, and one of the big gaps we have in higher education is STEM overall, but it's also beyond just the traditional four-year degree. I wanted to get both of your thoughts on how do we provide people bigger opportunities here in looking at higher education in a broader, more flexible sense.
I completely agree with everything you said, Senator. Indeed, while you were out of the room, I spoke some to the very issue you mentioned. I think we have, first of all, colleges and universities are organized in medieval ways. They're in departments. They're a history department and this department and that department. They're not quick, nimble, and fast. They're bureaucratic. They're not able to see the changes going on. They don't have the market incentives to see the changes are coming. Apple brought this out last week. This is the 6S. They sold 3 million last Friday. You can be sure Samsung and others are working day and night to come up. That doesn't exist in higher ed. So we have to facilitate what you're talking about in different ways. One way is to extend federal aid, the definition where federal aid goes
give
to.
You flexibility in how you use it.
Yeah, exactly. To maybe I'll use the word post-secondary instead of higher ed. And if you want to go to welding school with that money, my view is go to welding school. You know, if that's what's best for you. Welders make more money per for every education dollar spent on welding. That's a heck of a lot better.
You want to talk value? If you have a good welder, I mean,
yeah. I mean,
you can write your ticket.
Welder or plumbers are golden.
Yeah, no, they're golden.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Senator. I also agree with what you said. I think in many ways our higher education system discriminates against programs that are designed to provide people with skills that lead to good jobs. We tend to relegate those to the less resourced part of ours.
And also, I think we've kind of developed a bad attitude that isn't right in terms of those jobs, that these are very important, productive jobs for our country.
One of the problems we have is very difficult. If you say you went to a community college and got a 2-year degree that leads to employment, it's very difficult to transfer those credits and get a bachelor's degree. If, say, you want to move up into management, and often management jobs, you need a bachelor's degree or even a master's degree. Those things we can change. And also, to pick up a little bit.
We should change that, absolutely.
Absolutely.
You should be able to use that and have transferability to go on to that next step in your career.
I agree with that. And to respond a little bit to something related that Senator Langford said earlier, we don't have to make a full Pell Grant available for every program. We do, but we don't have to. We could imagine saying, what we really want are lower cost programs. And so in exchange for the flexibility to try something new and not be like a regular accredited college, you only get half a Pell Grant and see what happens, see who responds to that.
I also like this idea, you mentioned it, of the skin in the game for the colleges and universities and higher education, because that, I think, would focus them more on informing people, on letting the students know what all of their options are, and, for example, that they don't have to take out the full amount of the loan if they've got other sources. That the fact that if they had some skin in the game on repayment themselves, they would also, I think, be giving people stronger counseling and advice on what's available, and obviously that's going to go back into the high schools. So how do you see us doing that, the skin in the game? I know there's a bill here which I'm supportive of that's been introduced in the Senate, but what thoughts do you have on the policy end that we could make sure that we get the higher education institutions in this too?
I think it's relatively straightforward from a policy standpoint. I think it is mostly a political issue. I imagine you'll get a lot of phone calls from the college presidents in
I probably will after this hearing, right?
So, who, for obvious reasons, would rather keep the system they have now.
Yeah, the problem is overcoming the higher education lobby. It's a political issue. I mean, there's no question it should happen. There's no question that if colleges are giving advice that is distorted or wrong, they should pay a price for that. If there's negative consequences. It's as simple as, it's simple. But you try to get by Terry Hartle of the American I'll name names, the American Council of Education or other lobbyists. He's a fine man, by the way, but he will kill you on this issue. He tried to. And so it's a political issue.
It wouldn't be the first time that we've all faced those kinds of issues, right? So, but I think what you're hearing from all of us is a real desire to understand how we can give our students an opportunity to pursue with knowledge what they want to pursue and have the nimbleness within our system to give those opportunities. Because the system now, with the way that prices are rising, you can get to a point where it's just, how do we sustain this? And that's going to be a real issue for all of us. So I appreciate your both being here.